So joining me now is Jim Crary. He's running in Oregon's 2nd District. Jim, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm doing very well.
All right, great to have you here. You're running against the incumbent Greg Walden, who is a Republican. Talk to me about Greg Walden and why you're bothering to run against him. Is he a moderate Republican? Is he a really bad guy? What's the story?
He used to be a moderate Republican, but now he's turned into somebody that's totally forgot where he came from and who he's supposed to be representing. He's chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee. That's the committee that formulated that abomination that was the attempt of the Republicans to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. Had that become law, 64,200 people in Walden's own district would have lost health insurance. That is not representing your people. That is representing your corporate big dollar special interest donors.
Are those donors the only ones he's got? How much money has he raised?
Wow, he's got $3 or $4 million in the bank. He's probably one of the best, and I put that in quotation marks, fundraisers the Republicans have. But the thing is, he's representing his big dollar special interest corporate donors, not his constituents. He has forgotten where he's come from and who he's supposed to be representing. For me, campaign finance reform is my #1 issue. I am taking money only from individuals because I want to get big money out of politics. I'm all for public financing of elections, and my proposed plan would be to give everybody $50, and the only thing they could do with it would be to contribute to an issue or a candidate that they could vote for. We have almost 500,000 voters, registered voters in our district. That would be $25 million. You wouldn't have to go suck up to the corporations and the other special interests. You'd actually be coming back not only for people's votes, but also for their contributions. And all of a sudden, we'd have people in Congress that are representing constituents, not big dollar contributors. And we could have Medicare for all. We could address climate change. We could get a cap and trade or a carbon tax. We could deal with all these issues because it's insane to keep trying to do the same thing, finance the elections the same way, and expect different results.
Well, when you have public financing of elections, your representatives might represent the public. When you have the current system that we have, private financing of elections, they will represent private interests. So Greg Walden, your opponent, has raised $21 million since 1999. That's
Correct.
21 million reasons why he does not represent the voters in your district. He represents the guys who gave him all that money, and they didn't give it to him for their health. Anyone who thinks otherwise is painfully naive, to put it politely.
I totally agree. The Koch brothers are going to put $400 million into the midterm elections. I always say the Koch brothers are not stupid, and nor are they altruistic. They don't want better government. What they're doing is making an investment, and they get one heck of a return on their investment. Look at the tax bill that went through in December, $1.5 trillion. People cannot conceive of how much money $1.5 trillion is. But I can tell you this, the corporations and the ultra rich like the Koch brothers got one heck of a return on their investment. And if anybody thinks that these guys give money and it's just, free money, I have a bridge I'd like to sell you.
Yep, and it's a bridge to nowhere, unfortunately. So let's talk about the 2 different times that you've run against Walden. You ran against him in 2016 and now you're running this time around. So last time you ran, there were no other Democrats in the race. Now there are 7 Democrats in the race.
Right.
So tell me about you're in a unique situation here because you've run under both circumstances. Talk to me about the difference in these 2 election cycles.
It is night and day different. When I ran in 2016, people were definitely not engaged. And when I went to the Women's March in Ashland on the 21st of January 2017, there were 5,000 or 6,000 people there. And all of a sudden I thought, wow, what has happened? And that was the beginning. When Trump got elected, people got engaged. The difference between 2016, like I said, it's night and day. There's no comparison. We're having candidate forums now where there's 200 or 300 people. People are trying to get in, they can't get in. And this is 6-8 months before the general election. So that is a huge difference.
And Walden last time won handily. There was not a lot of press attention, and when there isn't, the challengers are at a monumental disadvantage. The incumbent already has name recognition, and you don't when you're running against them for the first time. So has that changed a little bit this time around? And is there a pathway to actually beating him in the general election?
There's absolutely a pathway to beating him. And here's what it's going to be. I say it's all hands on deck. And that means our U.S. Senators, Merkley and Wyden, they need to come in when they have a really good reputation in Eastern Oregon. And that's where Congressional District 2 predominantly is. It's the 2/3 of Oregon. It's the eastern 2/3 of Oregon. They need to come in and they need to weigh in heavily. They need to help us get elected. There are so many people that are engaged. That's where it's going to be. I'm not going to go mano for mano, dollar for dollar with Walden. We're going to raise over $1 million. That's going to be, going to be ample and it's going to be sufficient. But where we're going to beat him is with people power, and it's going to be so many people that are engaged. Look at the indivisible. That didn't even exist in 2016. Now there's branches all over Congressional District 2. I'm reaching out to young people. I'm reaching out to Hispanics. I'm reaching out to Native Americans. And I can tell you this, there's a lot of moderate Republicans and a moderate non-affiliated voters who are also very unhappy with the lack of representation that Greg Walden has been giving them. It's going to be all hands on deck, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, Walden, of course, they voted for the giant tax cuts for the rich. He voted to repeal net neutrality, and the list goes on. But I want to ask one more question about your policies. Climate change, what's your specific proposal there?
My specific would be actually HR 3671. It's already been introduced into Congress. What it says is we're going to get off of fossil fuels by 2035. Super aggressive. But you know what? We put a man on the moon. Kennedy in 1961 said we're going to put a man on the moon by the end of this decade. In July of '69, Neil Armstrong stepped out onto the moon. We can do it. If we have the right leadership, if we have the people that want to push this forward, we can achieve that. And so it's renewable energy. It could be a cap and trade. It could be a carbon tax. I would be happy with either one. But we need to get off of fossil fuels yesterday. And my thing is, my biggest concern is that we're not going to be able to keep the increase in temperature under 2 degrees Celsius. But it's absolutely happening. It needs to be addressed.
All right. I want to show everybody the links for Jim Crary, crary4congress.com. That's, of course, the number 4. And then you got the donation link and the volunteer link. So if you're in Oregon, mount up. And anywhere in the country you can donate, obviously. And for people who don't take corporate PAC money, those small donations matter even more. Jim Crary, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Cenk, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Appreciate it.